Good afternoon, amigos, folks, Nashi. Been a very good day so far. We haven't seen Jordan for a while, but he turned up today. And it's good to know that Jordan and I, despite our different ages, we seem to see the world in similar ways. Now, I like that because I like Jordy and I think he's on the right path. So we're going to have a little chat with Jordan now. And we're gonna, who knows where we'll go, but here we are.
Hey Jivan.
How you doing, man?
I'm good, how are you?
Good. I miss you, man.
Of course, I miss you too.
Anyway, good to be here. We're talking today about Trump,
Yeah.
and my question was, how can people take him so seriously if he hadn't been president once and made all those promises that he had, and then not kept him? Then you go, fair enough. But people will make excuses for their heroes.
Yes, that's right.
And he is, in a way, he's like a heroic figure now, isn't he?
He is.
They tried to kill him, they couldn't. You mentioned something about the Zionists. What were they doing? You said that they were touching...
Not exactly the Zionists, but in the form of evangelical Christians.
Yeah.
So when Trump declared his victory, on the same night that he declared victory, there was a video I saw of the evangelical Christians doing the anointing of him as their chosen warrior to lead America in their new world. And to me, I sort of laughed at that because Trump to them is like a new Messiah.
Correct.
He's a new Messiah that's going to put their agenda all over the world. And to me, again, I sort of laughed at it because if you look back at Donald J. Trump's history, look, I'm not trying to discourage anyone that supports him or whatever. If you just look back at his basic history, his view on a lot of these social issues that evangelical Christians lobby the Republican side of US politics for years and years and years. If you look back at Trump's view on a lot of those issues, it's flustered and changed dependent over the years. And the big one I'd like to raise, just a big example, is gay marriage. Now, Trump is documented as coming out in support of gay and same-sex marriage before either Barack Obama or Hillary Clinton. Now that he has such an important voting bloc in the evangelical Christians, just as the one example that he has several voting blocs, he's now obviously opposed to it. Even though it is enshrined in US constitutional law, that could change now that he's back in the Oval Office, as could a lot of things under Project 2025. Now, I'm not going to come out here today and criticise Project 2025. I'm just going to say it's an interesting topic that will be very largely spoken about during his next 4 years in charge of the big seat in Washington. And I think even though he's the president now, again, he's the chief of staff, I feel a lot of that policy making, it's not going to come from Trump himself. It's going to come from the advisors around him. And as popular as he may is, it could affect him like it did back when he was president.
You know, the funny thing is that a long time ago Trump said, if I was going to run, I'd run as a Republican, because those people are, well, I don't know what word he used, I can't remember it.
But yet at one point in his history, he was registered as a Democrat.
Yeah, he was with the Democrats, friends of Bill Clinton, and you have to go to jail. Hillary, she was once his friend, which begs the question, is a lot of, in my opinion, a lot of American politics is about theatre and promises. It doesn't ever, things that are never realised, but they can keep talking about the stock market, unemployment, it's 1% higher, as if it's some great achievement. But, so in your opinion, Jordan, what is the role of the president?
A lot of people aren't going to like this, but I believe that the US president is merely a figurehead, just to look like that they are a functioning democracy. Now, why I say that is we just got to go look at the US electoral process. We all know they got the electoral college system. We all know that Texas's 41 votes goes to the Republicans every election, no matter who's in charge of the Grand Old Party. California and New York's votes every year go to the Democrats, no matter who's in charge of the Democratic Party. So there's 50 states of the United States of America, but in reality, only 7 swing states are deciding every election. So to me, the president is merely a figurehead. And mentioning what I said earlier, it's going to be the advisors and people with vetted interests around Donald Trump that are going to be calling the shots for the next 4 years for America and the Western world.
So if we look at who he's put on board, despite his pacifist rhetoric that he's not a warmonger or anything, if we look at the people that he's put in his cabinet, it's the same old neocons. The neocons have been running American foreign policy for over 20 years now. I can't remember. I think it may even be from the time really of Ronald Reagan. And so no matter what they say, one has to look at what they do. Now in Trump's case, he says he's going to put all the tax rates down, but last time he was in, he did. But the biggest tax rate cuts were at the top, and the smallest tax rate, in fact, the very bottom, the people who earned the less money, they still didn't get a tax cut. Now, I think that's one of the many promises that he makes and doesn't keep. In terms of international affairs, Geordie, do you really believe he's a peacemaker, a pacifist?
The thing I'd like to comment about his record in regards to international relations, his first 4 years in the Oval Office, is I think he uses his businessman mentality to come across with a more calm approach than many of the American predecessors have. And the reason I say that is obviously he's just recently been elected again. The president of Russia, Mr. Vladimir Putin, has come out and said that he is actually open to dialogue with Trump regarding the Russian and Ukrainian situation. Now that is something that I also felt swung in Trump's favour this election, because the Democratic candidate on the other hand, the Mrs. Kamala Harris, was willing to continue American aggression in the war between Russia and Ukraine. She was willing to continue fueling arms to the current Middle Eastern conflict between Israel and Palestine. And that would have been something that struck a lot of the common Joe American voters who may not necessarily be looked after in regards to Trump's tax policies and looking after the rich. That would have struck a chord with them and saying, hey, let's support a candidate that's actually going to put American interests first and not the typical globalist agenda that his opponents have pushed.
Yeah, that's a good point. Opinion, that's just words. You know, he will say whatever he wants, whatever he thinks will get him the votes, and then he'll go ahead and do exactly what the others did. The interesting thing recently, Geordie, is I don't know if you heard him. One of the tactics he was going to use to get Putin under his control in Ukraine, he was going to say, oh, if you do what I say, I'm going to double the funding. Now, a lot of people don't know that Trump was the one who started the funding when he was elected. So he actually funded stuff that Obama would have done. But the interesting thing, in my opinion, is that he thinks that Putin's going to go, sorry, Trump. Sorry, Don. Like, Putin is not an underling in any way. Putin is a man of principle and power at the moment. Now, why American voters think that threatening Putin to do something that's going to work is, in my opinion, delusional. Have you been following the reporting of the war in Ukraine in the mainstream press?
I have, when it's actually been pushed in the mainstream media, to be honest with you, Shiva, because obviously when that war first started, we saw blue and yellow flags everywhere, save Ukraine this, save Ukraine that. And I don't mean to go briefly off topic here, but what people don't realise is that war between Russia and Ukraine has been going on a lot longer than when Putin ordered the Russian forces to roll in on February. And the big thing that Americans don't realise is what you were saying about trying to intimidate Putin into ending this war or having a pro-Western outcome, is that they've tried that for years. Back when Russia was still the Soviet Union, you've had successive leaders of both nations that have tried to work things out, but they just can't. And they can't see things eye to eye, and I don't think even now with Trump being elected, I don't think he's going to do anything specifically to change Putin's mind in regards to Ukraine.
I'll make this my final statement, and then you can... the interesting thing is that they still live in the wonderland of Hollywood.
Yeah.
They still believe in their own propaganda about themselves, despite, the reality of their military incursions and military action since World War II. Now, it's hard to find a victory, other than you could say in the Korea. But Korea, no one declared victory. They froze the war, something that they're talking about now, doing in Ukraine, which won't happen. Putin will decide what happens. Well, not Putin, the Russian people will decide what happens. So I find that interesting that, hang on. So we said Russia will do what they want to do. But Russia will do what they want to do, bro, because Russia has observed that America go into Vietnam, into Iraq, wherever they've gone into, even Sudan, wherever they go to, they do not win. They cannot win the war. They declare victory and leave, and what happens is, after that, in Afghanistan, 20 years of intervention, it went back to what it was before they went there. And in some cases, them leaving has been a positive for Afghanistan because they've invited China in to make infrastructure for them. And China's method of softly and quietly and let's make money together, that's working more than all the thundering and we're going to get you, you evil buggers, we're going to send the Marines in. The Marines ain't what they are on TV. What do you reckon?
Yeah, look, for a very, very long time, America has just thought itself as the global cop. What we say goes, and everyone else doesn't matter. But as you said, in reality, they've never won a war that they've actually fought in. And even when they have, it has been like a tiny, tiny, tiny speck on the dot of the map, like Grenada.
Yeah.
And yeah, so the election of Trump to me is, yes, a lot of it was based off words that can be promised, but will they ever get fulfilled, Jivan? Well, we'll just have to see.
And even if they are fulfilled.
And even if they're fulfilled, what is it actually going to achieve other than
And
another war?
how do you define what fulfillment? Because they define leaving Afghanistan as a victory.
Yes,
So,
as you said, despite leaving it in the same hands of the people they fought for 20 years.
So the moral of the story is that whatever America does is right, and even when they lose, they win. But that's changed since Putin gone into Ukraine. I reckon that since Putin has gone into Ukraine, the world is standing taller and not afraid anymore of America. And that is one of the most positive things, in my opinion, that's happened in my lifetime. You want to say to followers? Me and you?
Yeah, of course. All I'll have to say is speak what you are thinking. We live in a world where people are just too afraid to challenge the status quo and not speak the truth.
Thank you, Jodis. Thank you, amigos, Nashi, and even some of the gringos who might be watching.